long time before we actually get to see the two newest stars playing alongside each other in Brooklyn. But it's still a new era for the Nets, even with the ruptured Achilles tendon he suffered during Game 5 of June's NBA Finals against the Raptors. No one should have been surprised when Kevin Durant left the Golden State Warriors. And today he explained that a little bit more. He released some comments in an interview, of course, with the Wall Street Journal. And Kevin Durant did not hold back. Here's part of the quote. "I came in there wanting to be part of a group, wanting to be part of a family, and definitely felt accepted. But I'll never be one of those guys. I didn't get drafted there. Steph Curry, obviously drafted there. Andre Iguodala won the first finals, first championship. Klay Thompson, drafted there. Draymond Green, drafted there. And the rest of the guys kind of rehabilitated their careers there. So me, expletive, how are you going to rehabilitate me? What are you going to teach me?" As time went on, I started to realize I'm just different from the rest of the guys. And on top of that, the media always looked at it like KD and the Warriors. So it's like nobody could get a full acceptance of me there, end quote. NBA reporter Ramona Shelburne joins us now live. And Ramona, I guess I wasn't that surprised when I saw these quotes from Kevin, despite the fact that they went out of their way to make him feel comfortable from the beginning, to convince him to come there. What's your take?
Well, honestly, I wasn't surprised either, because that's what it felt like the whole last year. And I go back to when they won the championship. Kevin Durant is the finals MVP. It's everything he said he wanted. And he just wasn't happy enough about it. Like, it didn't solve the feeling that he had and the criticism of him of joining the historically good Warriors. It didn't give him the validation he was looking for. And then over time, as you were around the team, you could see those divisions. Kevin Durant is a single guy. Steph Curry is married with 3 kids, right? Andre Iguodala is married with some kids. Like it is a different group that he joined. And as he points out, like, a lot of those guys were drafted there. They built that Warriors culture. He was sort of the mercenary that joined them. And I actually think they did reach out. I did think that they tried to embrace him. And Sage, I was just talking to Warriors general manager Bob Myers and to get his reaction to those quotes. And he said, yeah, I understand it. I don't think he ever was really separate from everyone else, but he understood where Kevin was coming from, and he wasn't upset with those comments at all. He walked back to the new arena there at Chase Center, and he was talking about, how are we going to commemorate Kevin's time here? And he said, we have pictures on the wall of him. Everybody feels like he did what he said he was going to do here, and obviously they would like him to still be a Warrior, but they don't have any hard feelings.
Interesting. He seemed to your point, get almost angrier with the more success he had there with those Golden State Warriors. Here's another really interesting quote. He said, "Some days I hate the NBA. Some days I hate the circus of the NBA. Some days I hate that the players let the NBA business, the fame that comes with the business, alter their minds about the game. Sometimes I don't like being around the executives and politics that come with it. I hate that," end quote. And Ramona, as we all know, a lot of players say they don't like the business side of sports of any league. What should we take from this comment?
I was flashing back. I did a magazine profile of Kevin Durant this year, and we were sitting together talking about this very issue. And, I one of the questions that I had asked him was, why did you say yes to my pitch? Why did you choose me as the writer that you wanted to do this with? And they said, we feel like we can talk to you. We feel like we have a conversation, and you do get into the gossip a little too much. And I was like, what do you mean? You get into the gossip too? And they go, yeah, you're right? Like, that's Kevin Durant. He's on Twitter. He's checking his Twitter mentions. He is in it all day long. And just like the rest of us, like, some days that feels good and other days that feels overwhelming. And I think that's really what he's talking about. Of course he doesn't like it some days when he's getting all that criticism and he is the biggest story in the NBA. But that is also the price of superstardom.
Absolutely. And by the way, the Wall Street Journal article goes into a lot of depth about many topics, including his time in Oklahoma City and how he has no love lost for that city. We shall see if he ever ends up showing up back there in Oklahoma City. Ramona Shelburne with your perspective on Kevin Durant's latest quotes. I know, never ending. Thank you.
That was the message after what Joe Burrow put together for LSU as they beat Texas. And LSU is one of 5 SEC teams in the top 10 in the latest AP poll. The ACC still occupies the top spot. Clemson holding that down, but 3 SEC schools follow. A look back at the biggest storylines from week 2.
Into the end zone, and Jefferson is there, and Burrow with the quick strike.
2 weeks into the season, and we're witnessing something we haven't seen in over a decade. An LSU offense that features a fearless quarterback. Led by Burrow, LSU went to Texas and knocked off the 9th-ranked Longhorns, and they pose a real threat in the SEC against Alabama and Georgia.
Lawrence forced to scramble. Now throws, has 2 receivers open, and a Clemson touchdown.
Clemson's 11-game streak of beating opponents by at least 20 points came to an end, but their defense dominated Texas A&M in what looks to be their biggest challenge of the regular season. While Justin Fields and Ohio State made a statement in their blowout of Cincinnati, what exactly is going on at Michigan? Jim Harbaugh's team needed double OT against Army to survive at the Big House.
Slovis, deep, St. Brown, inside, it is caught!
A week ago, many people were trying to pronounce his name. By the end of Saturday night, the Trojan faithful were chanting MVP for Keaton Slovis as the true freshman led an impressive comeback against Stanford. And while you were watching this entire piece, Mike Loxley's offense at Maryland just scored 2 more touchdowns. A historic start for the Terps as they dismantled number 21 Syracuse. College Game Day's Kirk Herbstreit joining us now on SportsCenter. Herbie, after his performance on Saturday night in primetime, Joe Burrow's Heisman odds went from 25-1 down to 6-1. LSU's 4th in the polls. Where do you put the Tigers among the nation's top teams right now?
I put them in a top 4 myself after seeing what they were able to do and the way they did it. I think, Kevin, is the thing that stood out to me. This was not just great athletes from Baton Rouge and a great defense. It was Joe Burrow, and it was a great group of wide receivers led by Justin Jefferson making so many plays after the catch. How about the placement of the football by Joe Burrow? That's the thing that I'm excited to watch, Kevin, is he wasn't just completing passes. It's how he was stepping up in the pocket, how he was keeping his eyes downfield, and the placement of the football. He looked on balance. He looked in rhythm. He looks very comfortable, quite candidly, and I can't wait to see him continue to grow in this new scheme. But LSU, I think, made everybody take notice that this is an offense and a team that I think has some big plans and big goals in 2019.
It changes a few things, especially how we look at the SEC West moving forward now. Speaking of change here, a week ago, after losing JT Daniels, many were saying it's the end for Clay Helton at USC, but true freshman Keaton Slovis was fantastic in a comeback against Stanford. Now, 2-0, and here are the next 4 games for the Trojans. At BYU, home against Utah, at Washington, then they got a bye, then at Notre Dame. Herbie, how do you see this playing out for USC in the next 5 weeks?
Wow, if they could, at the beginning of the year, if you would have said to me those first 6 games, if they would have been 4-2 or even 3-3, you could have said that would be doing a pretty good effort to be able to get there. Then they lose JT Daniels. True freshman steps in, and that first half of that game, it wasn't necessarily going well, but Slovis, given credit, finishes strong. USC all of a sudden has some newfound confidence with a young quarterback and a lot of experience, skill around him, and all of a sudden they get ready for those next 4 games, feeling pretty good about their chances. But 3 of those 4, as you just saw, on the road, away from the Coliseum, and let's face it, there's a lot of kind of anxiety and frustration around the program from their own fans. So this is them against the world, literally in this case, because some of their own fans aren't even necessarily pulling for them because they want to see a new head coach. And I personally hope to see Clay Helton and this team do really well during this stretch.
I'm with you. You can check out USC 3:30 Eastern on ABC against BYU. Now, with this being the 150-year anniversary of college football, ESPN ranked the 150 best teams of all time. 1971 Nebraska, that squad took the top spot. Who do you have, Herbie, as the greatest college football team ever in your mind?
I would put it between number 4, number 7, and number 10. 10, and I would probably pull the trigger on number 7, Miami 01. A lot of great players on that team. Great leadership by Ken Dorsey and Ed Reed. Athletes like Andre Johnson. They just walked into that national championship and blew out Nebraska. Think of that backfield. They had Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee, Frank Gore in that backfield alone. So Jeremy Shockey, they were loaded with NFL players and NFL talent. And at that point, they were incredibly motivated. Miami 01 team was still out to prove a point. So that was a dangerous team.
Yeah, a total of 38 players from that roster in 2001 drafted by the NFL, including 17 first-round picks. I mean, they were stacked. See you on the call. Syracuse, Clemson, Saturday night on primetime. That was really good, no doubt about it.